Welcome to the Her Story Circle podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story TV and the Her Story podcast. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating woman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, how old you are, and share your story with us today.
Hi, I'm Cinde Dolphin. I'm based out of San Luis Obispo, California, the central coast of California, and I'm 69 years old. And I have a pretty amazing story that I feel blessed I can share with others. I am a 4-time cancer survivor. I've had 4 separate diagnoses of cancer. And as a result, I've had 9 surgeries, and each of these surgeries required me to wear what are called Jackson Pratt drains. And these are tools that are meant to siphon away fluids from the surgical area in order to prevent infection and possible complications. So they're quite simple. They're about the size of a lemon. And usually the surgery, they're attached to the skin with sutures with the drain line. And then these drain bulbs will collect fluids. And the patient is required to wear them anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. Sometimes people have to actually wear them for their rest of their life. So they're quite awkward and uncomfortable. And the protocol right now is for hospital teams that are releasing patients from the hospital, give each patient a safety pin to attach the bulb to their clothing or their hospital gown. And that's how they have to manage the bulbs. Well, you can probably imagine these bulbs are very embarrassing. They contain mucus, blood clots. They're not appropriate for the general public to see. So as I went into my last surgery, knowing full well I was going to have to wear these, they're called Jackson Pratt drains, I decided to come with maybe a unique response to managing the drains. And I took this like canvas apron, and I asked the nurses if they would actually put the drains in the pockets of this apron. For me, it would be easier. And I thought for the nurses, it would probably be much easier for them also. And they said it was a huge relief for them because these drains have to be emptied at all hours of the night. And if the patient can centralize the location of the drains, they don't need to be woken up in the middle of the night in order to locate the drains, in order to release the fluid from them. So for them, it was a huge relief. And for me as a patient, I felt much better having these drains contained in a pocket. And then when it was time to actually bathe, I took the canvas apron to the shower with me, but realized I wouldn't really be able to carry the drains in the apron when I went in the shower. So that's when I began thinking about how I could take a design that would allow a patient to manage drains, but also enter into a bathing situation, either showering or bathtub, and still be able to suspend these heavy drains. So I went home and with the help of my nephew, who's quite a talented seamstress, we started coming up with ideas that would make sense for managing drains. And the prototype that we came up with, we felt pretty good about. This is kind of what it looks like. It's basically a mesh apron that holds up to 4 drains. And it has a long tie so it can fit any body type. And it can go in the shower with the patient and be patted dry afterwards. So I asked my oncology surgeon if he would be willing to do a bit of a clinical study and try it out with patients at the UC Davis Surgical Center. He did, and the feedback came back very positive, and not only from the patients, but the doctors, the surgeons, and the nurses all felt that it was really a much needed invention for patients. And these drains are not just used for breast cancer patients, but there's bariatric surgery and cardio surgery. A lot of different surgeries require a patient to wear a drain. So it wasn't just answering the need of breast cancer patients, but many other patients also. So in about 2015, I went into commercial production of what I call the Keeley Medical Drain Carrier. And it is now available to patients, but mostly available to hospitals. Hospitals recognize that during discharge, it's far better to give their patients something that is simple to use rather than giving them safety pins. Safety pins are sharp, they have a needle point, and if they actually puncture one of the drains, it renders the drain useless, so the patient has to go back in and have it reinstalled. So this is a very clever way of managing the drains without having to keep safety pins or anything sharp near the bulbs. So it's been a wonderful, wonderful experience to give back. I felt in a way that having survived cancer 4 times, that I kind of owed a global debt, and I wanted to repay it by making it easier for others who are going to have to go through the same journey that I went through. So it was a great experience to come up with something that I felt like was worthwhile, made a difference, and can be easily used and give so much comfort to someone who's going through maybe, the hardest time in their life as they're recovering from surgery. So that became part of my experience that I took soon after my recovery from my last surgery. And I had already planned to go and live in Africa for 3 months and work with women in small businesses. So as I went to Tanzania is how they pronounce it, I brought my medical drain carrier with me. And the work I was doing with the women, they were all located near the base of Kilimanjaro. So that's why the name of the product is the Keeley Medical Drain Carrier. I wanted to honor these women who are there and doing amazing work with very few resources. And so I taught them how to make aprons out of the beautiful fabric that you find in Africa. And so this is kind of an example of the fabric, but it was a great way to start a business. I made microloans to the women so they could purchase treadle sewing machines. And then we bought the beautiful fabrics that are available in these amazing African stores. And so they started making aprons. And so their small business, they're called Kilimanjaro Carriers, their small business is now allowing them to have funds to pay for school fees, for medical care, for farming supplies. Best of all, it's empowered these women to feel very good about themselves and help their daughters understand their mothers are role models to what they can do. So the young girls that are the daughters of the women that are making the aprons are now learning the skill of making aprons, but they're expanding it, and they're making beautiful other skirts and tops and wonderful items that can be sold, and again make school fees available to their families, better living conditions. So it's been truly a global experience of having these drains, which are very awkward and uncomfortable, and taking it and turning it into something that I can make better for other people. And then taking that and learning how to teach women to bring more empowerment, more confidence, just a feeling of accomplishment to these beautiful women in Africa. So that's my story.
That is so heartwarming. Cindy, you have no idea. You know, when I heard about your story, I've been on a quest to find women who not only look after themselves, but think about others. And what you've done is phenomenal. It's not only helping other people who are going through surgery, who are going through these uncomfortable situations with these bags, but now the social impact and the ripple effect that your project has on women from my continent is just absolutely heartwarming. Now, a lot of people go through their struggles. We all have issues that we experience, but some people don't see the silver lining. They don't see the opportunity in turning that problem into a business, to become an entrepreneur like what you've done. Was this something you were doing before? What was the inspiration? What gave you the courage to say, hey, I can make a difference. I'm going to try this?
Well, there were days that I felt down, and that's only normal. I mean, being diagnosed with cancer is a traumatic event in your life. So I can't say I was always looking for the silver lining, but I was also looking for a way to have a second career. I had been in the adult beverage industry for almost 3 decades, and I was coming out of that thinking, I'd really like to say I've done something that could make the world a little bit better, that I had a legacy of having given something back to this world instead of just taking from it. So when I reached this void in the medical device industry, I thought, this is where I can make a difference. I can actually invent, and I feel weird saying invent because it's really not like a high-tech invention, but I invented something that was quite useful. I actually got a patent for it, and now marketing it to hospitals. And I feel that I have taken the years that I learned from the adult beverage industry and transferred it to something that's now very meaningful to me, and that I can feel like my second career is really going to make a difference.
I absolutely love it. So you did have those transferable skills. Everything you had done in business could be applied to this new venture. So if there is somebody who is going through something similar, can see a need, can see a small little niche, they don't know where to start. Based on what you've had as your experience, what 3 nuggets of wisdom could you give to get them started?
I joined a startup community where I was living, and having the energy from other entrepreneurs was really motivating for me. And even though they were often coming up with very elaborate, high-tech solutions, they embraced what I was doing. And so because of that, I gained that kind of excitement, the energy that you need to take the first big step towards building a business. So that was one thing. Two, we have here in the US a small business administration, and I went to them and took classes, invited a mentor to be a part of my group, and took a very serious look at how I was going to build an infrastructure that would be sustainable and would not necessarily make $1 million, but be made up of people who were strong and believed in what I was doing. And it was really a wonderful way to start. It was great to have people who had been working in business for many years lend their hand in order to teach me. And then finally, I'd say just taking a blind faith leap is what you have to do. If you think you have an idea, it's really important to just go ahead and try it. And as much as it's scary, it also is empowering. And some of the ways that I got started with my product is I just went to a simple little dollar store and started looking at what items were there and then reconstructing them and thinking of how they could be rebuilt into something that would work for me. So being a little bit goofy about how you look at your product, but taking that step of trying it out.
I love that. Yeah, it doesn't have to be expensive. It's just creativity is what fuels any new venture. Absolutely amazing advice.
Thank you.
Now, let me take you into the future. You're going to have a little thought experiment. You're now 120 years old. With science, you'll probably live that long. And you're sitting in your rocking chair, surrounded by your children, your grandchildren, your dogs, your cats, whoever is around you at that time. If you could go and have a conversation with the future you, this wise woman who's led you to that point, based on how you're living your life right now, what would you say to her?
To go ahead and take the chance. And we're led here, at least in the US, to believe that the success is actually based on dollar signs. And I have now given up that part of my career to this part of the career. And I would hope that I would tell myself that you did the right thing. You made a choice to not go after the big dollars or to go after the CEOs of major organizations. Please know that if you can change lives, that it is much better than any 8-figure income you would get or any title. And that the people that are touched by what you've done, you may never know, you may never meet them. You may never cross paths, but know that there is going to be a difference because of what you did. So I know there's so many people out there with really great ideas, but they're just a little bit anxious about stepping out. And let me tell you, I did this when I was 65. And so it did feel a little bit scary. But on the other hand, I think it made me young. I'm now feeling younger than I did because I'm around such young energy and I've got a new reason to get to work every day. And I've met such inspiring people along the way.
Oh, I love it. Absolutely inspiring. Now, is there anything I should have asked you and I didn't? What support, what help do you need? Are you needing help to scale this business? Tell us a little bit about what you're going through right now.
So we have tried to raise venture capital funds, and it is a very difficult world to go into because the venture capital people tend to want very sexy, very elaborate things to brag about with their peers of how they've invested in something very exciting and groundbreaking. But as we know, there have been people that have invented things that have fallen through, that didn't deliver. So I'd say having the knowledge that when you go after capital funding from other individuals, or organizations, capital funding organizations. Know that you're giving up a piece of yourself and a piece of your business. And do you really want to do that? We have not secured funding from venture capitalists. We are entirely self-funded. It's based on sales. So far, so good. I once saw some research that was done on businesses that went after venture capital funding. And interestingly enough, they had a very low rate of success, because often when the funding comes in, they're almost giddy with the money and misspend it and misallocate it, and then soon have no landing strip and go out of business. So I believe that going after your own funding, getting your business up and running as best you can with using your own investments it's a better way to go. At least it has been for us at our company.
Yeah, I am in that phase right now, trying to scale and experiencing the whole VC world. It's another world. But what we've decided to do is to create our own VC fund, and I was going to talk to you about that, where we want to invest in female startups that have social impact.
Awesome.
So our first angel investor is based in Sweden, and he's helping me raise the first $1 million to get this fund running. So you and I will be talking very soon.
Great.
These are the kind of projects that I really want to support, because the ripple effect is multiple.
It
goes
is
out in so many different ways.
As women, we have such an opportunity to give other women a hand up, and then to turn around and help the person behind us. So I really believe that as women, if we give ourselves credit and give credit to other women, we'll be far ahead than the world is right now, unfortunately.
So if anybody would like to get hold of Cinde, I have her website running at the bottom of the screen, medicaldraincarrier.com. Please reach out. Sometimes small amounts of money go a long way. We have been micro fundraising for our movement, and you'll be surprised that there are women out there who've had a similar experience to you, Cinde, who know what it's like to have cancer or some illness that needs this device, who might be able to support. So please support this initiative and help it grow. The ripple effect of Cinde's work is generational, because I can actually see the women in Africa that you are supporting being able to pay for their kids' school fees, who will then get an education, and you might not live long enough to see it, but you have started something phenomenal. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope so. It's, as you stated, Ubuntu is so important. I don't exist except when they exist. So this is part of my existence, is being involved and a part of other women's existence.
Oh, thank you, Cinde.
Thank you.
Thank you to everybody who's tuned in today. The Her Story Circle is truly attracting some phenomenal women. This makes me want to wake up every single day, connect with people like you, Cinde, do these interviews and shine a light on your work so we can amplify the stories. So come back again tomorrow, everybody, when I interview yet another amazing woman. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And Cinde, thank you again for the interview.
Thank you, Gertrude. Thank you for what you're doing.
Bye for now, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the Her Story Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the Her Story Circle podcast for more updates. And join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep making